Now, if you're an aspiring photographer who's looking into diving into fashion photography, there are some things that you need to get started on. So that's why I invited my friend Evan Lim from White Balance Studio to show you guys the 5 things that you need as a fashion photographer. Let's begin.
What's up guys, my name is Evan Lim. I'm a 25-year-old commercial fashion photographer based in Kuala Lumpur. Some of the clients I work with are people like Sony Music, Fountain Entertainment. And today I'm going to share with you 5 things that you need as a fashion photographer. So in no particular order, the first thing that you need are lights. So as a photographer, lights are really important because it lights up your subject and it gives the mood that you want. It gives the direction and the freedom to control and to create what you want as a photographer. So personally, I have 3 lights. The lights I'm using is a Godox MS300. Yeah, Godox MS300 is 300 watts, which is powerful enough for indoor shoots. However, if you want outdoor shoots, you need a slightly higher voltage light. Now, a lot of people would ask how many lights you need. I would recommend 3. However, how I would actually advise younger photographers who are intimidated by lights is that start with 1 first. Because once you know how to light your subject or whatever you're shooting with 1 light, then you can slowly add on the layers of light into the things that you're shooting, which can be less intimidating, and you find that you have a lot more control on how you want the end product to look like. So with lights are not enough. So with lights, you can see sometimes in front we put things like this. It's called modifiers. As a fashion photographer, it's important to have a few modifiers. They're not necessary, but it gives you the creative freedom and it gives you the independence to create the shot that you want. Now personally, I own quite a few. The basic ones I have, this is a beauty dish, a rather small beauty dish, which is used to create and shoot beauty portraits, things that you do for commercial beauty shots, like things you see on SK2, things you see on like just, portrait shots. And this, as you can see, is a snoot. A snoot, it's a very concentrated light. It is used to create very intense light. Now, as you can see in front of the snoot, there is another mount. Now, this is a grid, which helps you focus the light even more and create a sort of a pattern. Now, a lot of photographers, they like to pair the snoot with a gobo. So a gobo, it's what we call a cookie in the industry that you use to create shadows and different lines in your shot. Now, these are 2 of the modifiers that I have. A more common modifier that photographers would use are these that you see here. I have 2 of these. These are called soft boxes. Soft boxes are relatively cheap to have and relatively easy to use as well. I use soft boxes to create fill lights, to create dramatic portraits as well, because given the length and the height of it, it's very easy and it's very nice. It's very, comfortable and convenient to light up the subject that you're shooting. And I think last but not least, what I have is this. This is an octobox. It's a 90 by 120 octobox with a grid. The grid is optional. It's actually detachable as well, depending on the type of light that you want to use. Now, usually for the octobox, I would usually use it alone as a standalone light, where I want to create shots with higher shadows, or I usually use it with the soft boxes that I mentioned previously to create a very clean corporate commercial kind of feel. So yeah, these are the few modifiers that I have at the moment. Now, the next thing that I would recommend you get as a fashion photographer are V-flats. Now, V-flats are black on one side and they are white on the other side. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, V-flats are used to create fills for your shadows on your subject, to take away more light on your subject. Now, V-flats are very useful if you have, let's say, less than 3 lights. If let's say you have a 1 light system going on or you have a 2 light system going on, a V-flat is very helpful and useful to create that feel, to bounce off light that you do not have onto the subject that you have, that you are shooting. or to even take away more light and create a more dramatic look on the subject that you're shooting. Now the V-flats that I have are made of cardboard. However, I know a lot of photographers who create their V-flats using mounting boards or even foam boards. Now the next question is, where do you get the V-flat? You can get them from V-Flat World. It's a US site. However, those are relatively expensive. So a lot of us photographers, we choose to create our own. This is DIY as well. It's relatively cheap. I spent less than 20 bucks creating the tool that I have right here. So yeah, V-flats are essential in your photography. Now the next thing that you need as a fashion photographer, especially indoor fashion photographer, are backdrops. Now I have a few backdrops in my own studio as well. I have 6, counted 6 if not mistaken. The few that you see here are, this is ultra black, this is beige, and this is red. These are the more common colors that I use. Now why these 3 colors is, black is very useful to create dramatic portraits, where you want to create a very rugged kind of feel. However, black can be grey as well. Similarly, like how white can be grey, black can be a darker shade of grey as well once you control the amount of light that you bounce off the black backdrop. Now, beige is a very neutral, very nude color where brands really love it, especially nowadays where minimalism is a thing. Nude color gives a sort of a clean vibe to the whole portrait that you're creating. And lastly, as you can see at the bottom is red. Now this red is scarlet red. Scarlet red, we usually use it for more creative shots, more editorial shots as you will. It gives sort of a very high fashion-y kind of vibe to it as well. And based on the different light modifiers that you use, and based on the different light directions that you point towards the backdrop, it creates a different shade as well. Now these are the 3 main colors that I really love to use. Some of the colors that I recommend you get as a beginner photographer, say you don't want to invest in 3, you just want to invest in 1, I would recommend you get a grey backdrop. I don't have a grey backdrop here, but I would recommend you get a grey backdrop as it gives you a lot more liberty to play with. You can play with contrast shots as well, dramatic shots, as well as plain flat editorial shots as well. So a grey backdrop is a very good starting point. Lastly, what I would recommend you get as a fashion photographer are props. Now props are a great enhancer to the shots that you're doing. Now here I have a few props laid out, props that I usually use. Firstly, you can see that it's very convenient and it's very helpful to get things like greens, flowers, different kind of flowers. You get like fake roses as well. I wouldn't recommend buy real flower because they will die and they will wilt. So get fake ones. They are relatively cheap. You can get them at IKEA, you can get them at your local convenience store like Daiso, Kaison. Secondly, you have, what I have here are shapes, different variants of shapes. Now shapes are more, how would I say, more high fashion-y, more editorially. It takes a bit of playing to really gel shape well into your portraits that you shoot. However, if you use it well, that can be a very interesting point of attraction or attention to the portrait that you're using. These are what I call gobos. These are not exactly gobos, but it can be a gobo depending on how you use it. If you put this in front of the modifier, it creates that shadow that you see on different shots that you can see, sometimes you see on Instagram, or it can be a very good framing device as well for your models that you're shooting. These things like that are very helpful and very useful. And lastly, what I have here is a 20-year-old bottle of Coke. Now you can get different stuff as well. So what I would suggest is maybe you should go to the flea market, for example, and you see a very interesting piece of item like this. Because right now we don't really drink Coke out of a bottle like this. So pair it well with the subject that you're shooting, and it can add flavor, you know, to the shots that you're taking. So props are really essential. I would say that without them you cannot shoot. However, they are kind of like a taste enhancer to the shots that you're taking. So yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you Evan Lim from White Balance to come in and teach you guys the 5 things that you need as a fashion photographer. I put his social links down in the description below, so go ahead and follow him. He will like that a lot. Now comment down below what are the key takeaways that you learned from this video, and as always guys, go out there, discover, connect and inspire, and I'll see you guys in the next video.